Okay, credit to MechaRandom42 for getting my attention to this one. ScreenRant, normally a bit of a shill site, is now finally admitting basically that the current era Star Trek is crap. Okay. From their TLDR thing, new Star Trek has lost what made the show so great. Yeah. From Thomas Bacon, no idea if he's related to Kevin, but in the bleakness of Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery, modern Star Trek has forgotten Gene Roddenberry's optimistic philosophy. Gee, that sounds familiar! How many years have we been saying that, guys? Okay. Modern Star Trek has forgotten the optimism that made the franchise great. There is a sense in which modern society has never felt so pessimistic. Gone are the days when humans looked to the future with a sense of hope. Now there's a sense of fear. Okay, perspective here, guys, because I am old enough that as the gray will indicate that the days of mutually assured destruction, actual race riots going on the streets, I mean, it was worse in the 60s, okay? This is a case of, there's not a matter, we don't have, China's planning all kinds of things, but I'm pretty sure they're not planning on bombing us into non-existence, okay? They just want to, bankrupt us. That was real threats back then, guys. This is piddly scrap. This is spoiled brats who got too damn bored and are throwing a temper tantrum. It's, there's an old Russian saying, history repeats, first is tragedy, second is comedy. We're in the comedy phase now. This is the 60s. There's a lame-ass, sitcom. Oh, grape juice today. Yeah, the future is a place full of unknown, half-formed terrors, while at the same time, we are gradually becoming aware of the evils of the past are still with us. Prejudice, intolerance, bigotry, and hatred. Most of them revived for the sake of having something to fight. We've pretty much gotten past all that crap, but then suddenly we got a activist president in there who felt he had to be an activist, so they pretty much had to churn up all the old crap from the old days. And now we're back in the glories of the civil rights struggle, and you're refighting the Civil War. Oh, God. Talk about, not accepting when we actually, taking the win. No. We got to fight it over again. Why? Okay, science fiction has always served to hold up a mirror to contemporary society. Sci-fi worlds may be fantastical, but they allow viewers to understand contemporary issues. Good science fiction allows you. Bad just holds up the mirror and say, yeah, let's have fun. No, you're supposed to show a way out. Okay, and they're not, Yeah, I mean, it's symbolic of this. The last decade or so saw the rise of dystopian futures, particularly geared towards young adult audiences. If you want to get picky back here, H.G. Wells kind of started the dystopian future thing way back in the late, end of the 19th century. Check out the second half of War of the Worlds, or much of The Time Machine. A lot of dystopia going on there. And let's see, oddly enough, these still seem to be performing better in the written form than they do in TV and film franchises. Because a book you can always put down, go to dinner, come back with it later. TV and movies, you're kind of obligated to finish through it, and it just gets too depressing after a while. That's why I bailed out of The Walking Dead until season 3. Or whenever they found the prison, it's like, that's it, I'm out, I also did Criminal Minds, same reason, just depressing. Alright, these stories are typically quite subtle because they present bleak futures that seem all too believable, and yet they typically show a new generation confronting these ominous world systems. Yeah. They're a strange blend of darkness and optimism because they at least suggest broken societies can be changed. Here's where JJ and Christmas Trek comes in, because no, they don't show it changing for the better. In fact, in the case of Christmas Trek, they show it regressing, because we've already seen Star Trek futures presented as generally a pretty nice place where people finally gotten over this crap. But no, here comes Picard, and here comes Discovery, where it's like people are still petty little assholes, out for themselves, don't give a rat's about anything. And the diversity is really tokenism. It's not celebrating. It's just dragging them in and saying, "Hey, look at this. We got one of them." Fill in the blank of what them is. And let's see. Given this context, Star Trek should be one of the most crucial sci-fi franchises of all. It was. Gene Roddenberry knew how sci-fi worked, and he believed his franchise had the power to confront and even transform society. The reason why he knew why Star Trek sci-fi worked is because he knew how stories worked. Look at his writing resume, and there's a lot of westerns and TV and cop shows. very little science fiction prior to Star Trek. I think there's like one. It was for Alcoa Aluminum Theater thing. I'm forgetting the title, but it was... You have to learn how to tell stories. Basic stories. The genre is irrelevant. There's one of the lines in the writer's guide. If your excuse is it does this because it's science fiction, don't call us, we'll call you. Because you're using sci-fi as an excuse to do something stupid. Let's see. Jordan was a humanist. And his optimism shaped Star Trek. I believe in humanity, he famously observed in one interview. We are an incredible species. We're still just a child creature. We're still being nasty to each other. And all children go through these phases. We're growing up and we're moving in adolescence now. When we grow up, man, we're going to be something. Unfortunately, we're now kind of regressing a bit back into childhood a bit. Like I said, the aforementioned temper tantrum. Let's see. Star Trek was intended as a vision for our potential future, one where humanity had grown up beyond petty divisions and self-interest. Racial tension was a thing of the past. Women could serve on starship bridges and ultimately star as captains. And even civilizations that had allied with humanity in the Galactic Federation. Vulcan's philosophy of Idic, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, wasn't just a slogan, but rather a way of life. Starfleet didn't just acknowledge differences; they celebrated them. Yeah. The way Roddenberry put it in his standard speech: if we cannot learn to tolerate differences in our own kind here on this planet, take a positive delight in those differences, small differences between us and those among us, on this planet, then we do not deserve to go into space and find the diversity that's almost certainly out there. It's like we need to learn to take care of each other first before we can even think about going out into space and meeting what's out there. Alright, Roddenberry's Star Trek declares humanity's best days are not behind us. They are ahead of us. Like to say, the human adventure is just beginning. Star Trek does not harp back to a romanticized, overly nostalgic view of yesterday. The values of tomorrow do not include nationalism, financial prosperity, or power fantasies. There are still issues, but they arise from individual humans who have not become enlightened rather than from the system itself. This runs completely counter to our modern pessimism, our view of the future, our nagging doubt about society's development. Star Trek is science fiction as counterculture. It was the 60s. And it was also kind of, I think Roddenberry, when you start thinking like, why do we do this crap? Why are we so obsessed with these little green pieces of paper that really only have value because we say they have value? That sort of thing. And looking at stuff like that, and just kind of taking the long view. Kind of like, so an alien observer's like, why do you do this? This makes no sense. Why don't you just do this? Why don't you just, you like to cook, why don't you just run a restaurant for the love of cooking, And if you could remove the necessity for for these little green pieces of paper that only have value because they say they have value, then what kind of society would we have? It's kind of like, why Star Trek economy works is because it's fusion-powered replicator technology. It's a post-scarcity economy, what they call it. Where it's basically, there's no longer a drive because we need to take these, because we need that oil, Or, we need the money. That's like, if money and power are no longer an issue, then what are you going to do? And they like to think that they would, okay, we'll just do things because we want to do them, I want you to try my beef Valentine, not because I want to sell it to you for $50, because I am proud of this. I want to share, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, as today's society's shown, that the idiots up in Seattle are probably the most pampered, spoiled brats in the history of humankind, with the wealth of, where are we? All of human civilization and knowledge accessible through your freaking phone. At your fingertips, you can access anything in the world if you got a good cell connection. And it's Lord of the Flies there, okay? Yeah, ever to the police, and then what happened? They start shooting up there, and then we need to call the paramedics. Paramedics ain't going in without the police. Some poor schmuck died, just bled out because the paramedics said, "Wait, no, we ain't going in. Yeah. We ain't got police escort. We ain't going in."
I wonder what Murray Goldberg would say about those guys.
Morons. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. Let's see. Unfortunately, modern Star Trek appears to have forgotten this optimistic heart. I never knew it in the first place. Star Trek Discovery's central character is Michael Burnham, and the first season began with Burnham triggering a galactic war at the Battle of the Binary Stars This was driven by her own fear and prejudice, her deep refusal to truly embrace the principles of Idic. Again, it's a bumper sticker to them. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Or at least apply it to Klingons as well as the Federation, as well as Federation members. As Star Trek Discovery, I'm going to link this if you can't understand what the hell I'm saying, because I'm blurring myself. As Star Trek Discovery Season 1 progressed, it showed the Federation at its worst, essentially modern society writ large. That itself shows these people and their little panel of canon experts, they didn't watch the show at all.
Oh, jeez.
Because these idiots are like, this was not Star Trek Society. I mean, at any point, what Roddenberry put down was saying that already moved past all this crap. And Picard is really no different. I'm going to get to that later in this article, but the whole point of the thing was just, we used to be like that, but we got past it. Here's how we did this. And then other societies would have the little petty squabbles about greed and lust and whatever, and wars over, economic theory stuff thing. But the whole point of, of Star Trek was not to project modern society onto Federation society and Starfleet. That just shows, no, they did not want... The most they've done is they scanned through Memory Alpha and watched the description blurbs on Netflix. And while on the one hand, yeah, you do need to keep things focused on the cage, as far as this is where your endpoint is, or you're just starting off from there and you're moving forward, you need to be aware of the greater universe around that episode. And so you're not, you're screwing everything up. It's like, these people are idiots. Okay. I think, and part of it, it's probably a thing of just writers today learned basically from watching other television shows. Previous writers were very well read. Okay. They didn't just stick with TV shows. They read books and and were schooled on the classics. And now it's like, God forbid these people even heard of Moby Dick. Or even gotten past the first line. I guess, I mean, once you give them, I am Ishmael. Call me Ishmael. Huh? I never read it, and I know where that freaking line comes from. Okay, about idiots, going rampaging through the streets, supposedly raging about the injustice of the past and the sin of slavery. And what are they doing? They're knocking over a bust of Ulysses S. Grant. It's like, newsflash, Sparky. He was with the Union. Union General. They fought the South to free the slaves. And made life generally hell for the KKK. They were virtually non-existent. They practically ceased to exist under his administration. They were practically gone before Birth of a Nation came back, and suddenly Woodrow Wilson, racist in chief, this is the greatest movie ever made, and then suddenly, in the surge, then the Klan is nationwide, even out here. Okay. Alright, Battle by the Stars. The idea of development and growth was gone to the point where the Federation considered an active genocide. Worse still, the end of Discovery Season 2 saw the USS Discovery blasted into a future timeline that looks more dystopian. Now the Federation of Planets is diminished, they apparently reduced to 6 members. Starfleet appears to have been long since wound down. As great and good as the Federation may have been, it did not last and is gradually being consigned to the history books. I'm laying odds right now. What you're going to see is a carbon paper cutout of the general plot for Andromeda and the fall of the system's Commonwealth. And one ship standing against the dark to restore restore civilization to the galaxy. And there's a scrappy little band of ragtag folks on this big colossal ship. They're bringing the light back to the darkness, Natalie. Yeah, okay. Now, granted, I mean, this may be actually the weasel way they do it when they try and pull it. It was originally thought of by Robert Hewitt Wolfe as a Star Trek story, Fall of the Federation type thing, where some ship is from. And then, well, Paramount was going to go for that, so they, I guess, help from Majel going through Gene's trash can or file cabinet. Okay, what if we take this starship concept that never went anywhere, Journey of a Sentient Starship, and take this Genesis 2 project that we only got a couple pilots out of, smash them together, just to, follow the serial numbers, Federation becomes a systems Commonwealth, and it's Captain Dylan Hunt, on the Starship Andromeda. Hope lives again, so yeah. In which case we may wind up with a situation where one Gene Roddenberry production is suing another. That will be weird. Especially since Roddenberry Productions, that may be why they have Rod on board. They may be on a plan to, hey, we're going to sue Rip-Off Andromeda, but if we have Rod as one of the producers, he can't sue us. Because he'll be a defendant and a plaintiff. Doesn't work that well. Okay. Meanwhile, Star Trek Picard Season 1 was at heart a story of nostalgia. And a corrupted Federation viewed as villains at worst, antagonists at best. Jean-Luc Picard had dreamed of doing good, but he had failed and instead had retreated to live and die in his chateau in France. Even when Picard finally took to the stars again, he was driven more by a desire to do the one last good thing than by belief in the Federation. Star Trek Picard ended with Jean-Luc Picard and his crew heading off on new adventures, but they appear to have been independent from the Federation, perhaps still reluctant to trust an organization that had been compromised by anti-sympathetic justice for decades. And actually, that dining on nostalgia thing was forced in because originally we weren't going to see we weren't going to see Riker and Deanna, and probably not even Data. It was all going to be it was just going to be references here, but they didn't work, and the test audiences hated what they saw. And there may have been a feeling, hey, why don't we see any other crew member? So I think there was extensive reshoots on this, and that's where you got Data and Riker and Deanna, and that's why only one episode, because that's it. And even the finale, the capper there with the fleet coming to the rescue. It was originally going to be little Admiral Hubris, Admiral Pottymouth commanding the fleet, and that didn't go over well with them, with the fans. So he had to bring in acting Captain Riker, which was done while he was up there directing an episode of Discovery. So yeah, John, put this uniform on, go on the bridge. We're gonna thing. And of course, also another thing is like, why is he bothering to tell them he's acting captain? That just boys when they do. It's little stuff, but it also just glaringly shows that these guys don't know what they're doing. Because again, it wouldn't be acting. It makes no sense. Seriously. Okay, so these are hopeful signs about Star Trek Picard. Season 1 may have died on nostalgia, but that cannot continue. And Burnham and crew were given a much-needed shot of optimism in Star Trek Discovery Season 2. And yet the problems remain. Many viewers assume the USS Discovery will help usher in a new golden age of the Federation in the 32nd century, but the philosophical message inherent in that concept runs counter to the Roddenberry's vision too. Roddenberry believed in the show slow march of forward progress. He did not believe the future would flourish if we looked to the past, and Discovery and his crew in the 32nd century has resembled the past. I'm not sure I follow the train of thought, really. I don't think you would have bought the whole thing of the Federation falling like that. But, again, that's a whole thing. And there's also assuming, we're going to, they're still doing reshoots on, apparently on Season 3 of Discovery. They're still not quite through. So, and again, it's still, and they may be, again, development hell is a weird place for productions. Yeah, they're working on Picard Season 2, but I don't know if it's actually been greenlit or funded or anything. Because Amazon wants nothing more to do with it. Netflix definitely doesn't want anything to do with either of these shows anymore. And it's cheap to pay writers to sit around and just write stuff. The expensive stuff comes when they actually have the funding in hand to start actual physical production. Building sets, rolling cameras, hiring crew. Writers are cheap. Yep. So yeah, until we actually hear about cameras rolling, don't buy anything about, oh yeah, we're ready to see. No, you're not. CBS is holding on by its fingernails. CBS All Access is being folded into something else, combining the Viacom thing. And yeah, when Anson Mount shaves the beard, maybe, okay, but that may also be for another part. So, I mean, right now he's regaling us with tales on doing carpentry on his back deck and going fishing, which he had a fish bite, okay, big. Yep. So the whole thing about Stranger Worlds could just be what the franchise needs if it was done by competent people. It's being run by the same morons who produced the previous things they're complaining about. Yeah, they all turned to Captain Pike, the every spinoff, Ransom Up. Fans fell in love with these characters in Star Trek Discovery because they embodied the kind of optimism. Yeah, it's because Anson Mount actually knows what he's doing. He's a Star Trek fan. He knows what a Starfleet captain's supposed to act like, and probably he's probably seen the Cage and the Menagerie a few times himself. So having actually seen Jeffrey Hunter in action, even granted the one episode really, the one story, you get a kind of idea what kind of guy this was. So he knew how to play that. Even the very end, because it's very grim. And very, very depressed throughout most of the episode. But at the end, when he's finally back on the Enterprise, he's rested and he's joking around with the guy. So yeah, I've even been home. That good enough for you? Or it's like or it's like, as in all ships, doctors are dirty old men. Okay, see, Pike would have loosened up some. And they're stuck with it. And Jeff Hunter's wife had mentioned mentions a witch, but. But yeah, pretty much the big thing about this, it's like not so much the article itself. It's the fact that at the long last, even the shill media, which ScreenRant is a big part of, has finally have to admit, nah, they weren't very good. Okay, they'll never come out and say, yeah, the fans were right. This sucks. Because they have to out here. But it might work out if Stranger Worlds comes right. It's like, and yet ignoring the fact that it's being written by the same bunch of morons who didn't have a clue with the first two of outings here. Okay, so what optimism can we possibly have that's going to improve? Okay, but yeah, at least at long last we can say fuck you, we were right. Okay. I do the whole thing with the gloves and spinning, but I'm too tired. My back is not gonna do it right now, but maybe later. But for now, it's like, yeah, at least we can claim a bit of a win on this one. Yeah, they're finally starting to admit that the shows really suck, okay? And they don't know what they're doing. This is why. And again, I'm part of the course. We've been saying the same damn thing for how many years now? Enough already. Okay, so PayPal, Patreon, and also Subscribestar. I need some more because originally had some, one of the guys go over there, and it's real close to paying off. So we need a few more people to sign up on Subscribestar and get that one rolling, because I can start get that into pay. And with that, I think we will catch you later.